Hi. Just dancing. I wanted to jump on real quick because I was just at a masterclass with Jessye Norman at the University of Toronto, Faculty of Music, with 6 of our wonderful singers. It was a really wonderful masterclass, and of course Jessye Norman was phenomenal. And I just had a couple of quick thoughts because most, if not all, of my voice pedagogy class was at the masterclass today, which was packed, by the way, absolutely packed, which, well, it should be. It was a free masterclass with Jessye Norman. She very rarely gives public masterclasses, as I'm sure you know. So I wanted to just give a couple of quick thoughts about that because, as I said, most of my undergraduate voice pedagogy students were at the class. And one big takeaway, I hope, for everyone who was there, all of the young singers who were there, one big takeaway, I think, is that you really need to know your languages. Know your lyric diction. It's really going to help support your singing. This is classical singing, of course, but know your lyric diction, please. One of the things that I wanted to just jump on and talk about was the fact that Jessye Norman used the term support quite regularly. I think she addressed that term or used it, asked for more support in 4 out of the 6 singers and possibly 5 out of 6 of them. And I just thought it was so interesting because in my voice pedagogy classes and with students who are beginning to teach, I am always encouraging us to explore singerese and to try to understand what we really mean when we say something and what we're really hearing when the first instinct is to say something like you need to support the sound more, or more breath support, or put the sound in the mask, or something along those lines. So as soon as we have the urge to use singerese or singing teacherese, stop and explore what you're really asking for and what you're really hearing. What is actually causing you to want to use that terminology? And especially when we're working with untrained singers or beginning singers, what is perhaps a better way to describe what it is that we want from the singer? What are we actually trying to address? What's a better way to ask for that? So, as I said, I thought it was really interesting that Jessye Norman used the term support very regularly in the masterclass, and I could almost feel some of my voice ped students like looking over at me like, she said support again. She's using that again. Jessye Norman asked for more support again, and Jessye Norman didn't use quotation marks when she asked for it either, Shannon. So I wanted to just kind of address that a little bit. And I know I have addressed other terminology to use instead of using support, and also what are some of the things that you're hearing that may be causing you to ask for more support, and what are some better ways to get the results that you're looking for. So I just wanted to point out, especially for my voice ped students who were there, that Jessye Norman, if you notice, asked for more support for 4 or 5 different sound outcomes that she was reacting to. She wasn't always asking for more support because of the same issue or because of the same tonal outcome. She wasn't always trying to correct the same problem, if you will, by saying support. That was kind of what she was using as a short form to correct the problems. And you may have noticed that some of the singers who were better at translating what she was talking about into something that they could use were better at responding well to that, and some of the singers weren't as good at being able to pivot and translate what does she mean by more support into something that was useful for them. But I think, again, what's really interesting about what she did today is that she actually used 4 different body motions, which is part of the reason I'm so far away from the camera, because I wanted to actually show the 4 different things that she did with her body to show what she was actually asking for when she said, more support, please. So one of the things that she did with her body is this. She asked for more support. This is what she said, more support, 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 and then she did this with her hands, which to me, and from the place where she was asking for more support and the kind of sound that was being created when she was asking for more support, to me meant that really she was asking for more breath energy. I think that's really actually what she was responding to. It was a little bit of stuck air, if you will, a little bit of locked in air. So the singer responded well to that directive and was able to change what they were doing in order to create the tonal outcome that Jessye Norman was looking for, and in fact that we were all looking for. We were hoping for that tonal outcome. But Jessye Norman said support more and did this with her body. One of the other things she did with her body when she said support more was this. So she did this. She said support more, support, support. So she did that. And that was for a different singer, a different kind of issue that she was addressing. And in my mind, it seemed like what she was actually asking for was a little better adduction or a little bit more squareness at the glottis, the vocal folds to be a little more square, if you will, and to have a little bit more pressure moving through the vocal folds, moving through square vocal folds to counteract that sound that we call being off the voice or out of the body. So she did this sign with her hands as she was saying more support to one of the singers. And that singer was also able to respond well to that directive and changed what they were doing to get a more in the body, on the voice sound, which really, what does that mean? It really just means that we're getting a better, thicker, if you will, closure of the vocal folds. We get a little more amplitude in the sound. We get a little richer in the body sound. One of the other physical movements that she did when she asked for more support is she did a little bit of a kind of caress motion with her hands this way, and that was so interesting. So this was a singer who was pressurizing a little bit in the top range, and glorious singing today, all of you guys. It was just beautiful. This was a little bit of overpressurization in the top, and Jessye Norman asked for more support, and she did this with her hands. So she didn't do this one, which to my mind I read as more energy and more movement in the air. She did this, a little bit more of a caressing motion, which then resulted in that singer kind of taking the directive on and possibly doing a little translating in their mind for them to figure out what more support meant for them in their sound, but also possibly just reading her gestures, and it resulted in a better flow, which gave her not so much pressurization in that upper range. So have I done 4 yet? Or did I do 3? 1, 2, I did this one, she did that one, she did this one, she did the caressing one. Oh, and then she did this one. She did this for more support at one point. And now I can't remember which singer that was with, so I don't quite remember exactly what was going on there. But anyway, the interesting thing, as I said, is that although she was asking for support from 5 out of the 6 singers, or for more support from 5 out of the 6 singers, to my mind and to my observation, she was asking for actually a different tonal outcome. She was asking for a different production. She wasn't asking for support to correct the same problem every time. She was using support to correct different issues. And the way that she was signaling, if you will, to those singers, what she was really asking for was through her body motion. And her body motion showed those singers what she was really asking for, or what they could do to create that tonal outcome. I'll say too that the singers who were a little bit more successful in being able to just pick up on what her body language was saying were more successful. The singers who were thinking through what this means and weren't quite able to pick up on the body language in the same way were not as successful in being able to make the changes that she was asking for. There was one singer as well who kind of changed the directive for herself. So Jessye Norman asked for more support, and this singer did this herself. She did this at the piano. Sorry, let me get back a little bit. She did this for herself. So she sang the phrase again and did this whoosh, 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 as she was singing the phrase. So she actually did a physicalization of what the support directive meant for her, for herself, and it was a gorgeous change in her sound, a really beautiful outcome from that changing. Yes, I exactly, trying to reframe that word. And again, it's not necessarily a bad thing to use, especially if you're working with trained singers. These were all very well-trained singers in the Masterclass, 6 of them, some of them doing doctorates, some of them masters. I think there was one undergraduate there as well. These were all well-trained singers, so they were all, to certain degrees of success, able to translate support for themselves and able to take on that directive well. The reason that I want my undergraduate voice pedagogy beginning teachers to start to think about what that means is because it's so easy to kind of drop into singing teacherese and use these phrases without really thinking about why we're using it, what it really means, what we're responding to in the voice that we're trying to change, and what is the actual tonal outcome we're looking for, and what is the physiological process for that tonal outcome, in order to make that change happen for that singer, that word support or breath support or support the sound, it can have so many negative repercussions just because of the thing that can come in with support, because it sounds so locked in. And I want to be careful about giving our just beginning singers, giving them a little gift of attention pattern that might not be useful. I want to be careful about giving that gift away, you know what I'm saying? Keep it for yourself. Okay, those are my thoughts on the Jessye Norman Masterclass, which was wonderful. And also, learn your languages. If you're going to be in a masterclass with a pro like that, you really need to know your languages, know your lyric diction. Anywho, that's what I'm saying. That's all there is for tonight, folks. Have a happy, great weekend. Woo woo!